right, so we are going to go through the facilitator time of session one. We will assume that people have already watched the video and they have come to meet with us. So I encourage you to start session one with a meet and greet moment where you ask people to share their name and something neutral, like maybe a favorite food, an activity, a favorite place, but something that anybody would feel comfortable sharing about themselves, and potentially one thing that they learned from the video. So you can kind of gauge um, what piqued people's interest. And ideally something they learned, not just something they liked, but something that was new for them. And that gives you an idea of like where people are at. With every meeting, I really encourage you to have and go over discussion guidelines. These guidelines help people know how they can function within the meeting. And for people who have anxiety, they like a lot of structure. So if you can remove a lot of the uncertainty for them, that will help them feel more comfortable in going through this time with you, because they know what's supposed to happen. They know how it's supposed to go. They know what's going to happen. They know the time and everything. And this is very helpful. So I have 4 discussion guidelines. I only discuss 3 of them. The first 3 until session 4, I add that 4th one. So the first discussion guideline is, let's keep our discussions centered around the agenda items. And I hope these are self-explanatory as to why, but I will read you my script. I say each week I'd like to go over our discussion guidelines so that our discussion can be productive and helpful. I'm going to share each week our discussion agenda for the day. Guideline number 1 is, let's keep our discussion centered around those agenda items so we can make sure people feel equipped to implement changes when they go back home. And guideline number 2 is, let's avoid sharing recommendations that are not mentioned in this program so people can get the research-backed gains that have been documented when they carefully follow it. Guideline number 3 is, if you would like to say something, just raise a finger or a hand and wait till I call on you to speak. And then, as I mentioned in session 4, I add on an additional guideline that personal information that is shared here stays here. So I hope y'all can appreciate that this is very important. This way, especially those with anxiety or those who are more introverted, they know how they can contribute to the discussion, and they know what is okay to say and what is not okay to say. And this also helps people hold others accountable as well. So if someone starts bringing up a random supplement they use, everybody else doesn't jump on that bandwagon, because everybody else knows, oh, we're not supposed to talk about that. And you can just, let's remember our discussion guidelines. We're going to just avoid talking about things that aren't mentioned in this program. And so this will avoid lots and lots of problems if you do this every time. And then go over today's agenda, right? Hopefully you have it posted somewhere. Here's my agenda for session 1, that we're going to do meet and greet. We're going to do page 23, healthy lifestyle scorecard. Page 16, the reading prescription. Page 16, avoid negative words. Page 17, action item 1.1, gratitude. Page 18, action item 1.2 and 3, hydration. And page 20, action item 1.4 and 5, exercise. And if you have your books, you can be going to those pages. So, pop quiz, friends, how often should we review discussion guidelines?
Every
Yes.
session?
Every
session.
year.
All right, every session, right? Okay.
Yes.
Because you got people coming in the first week, they weren't there. Then people coming in second week, they weren't there the first week. And then you got people who just forget every session. Just take a moment and review them.
Okay,
Okay.
can I say something?
Yes, of course.
I just want to remind myself. So the 3 guidelines. First one is always discuss something that is, oh, raise your hand. Is that one? Raise your hand first and then discuss only things that are pertaining to the program. And I can remember the other
Yeah, the
one.
first one is keeping discussion on agenda items. The second
Uh-huh.
one is avoid mentioning things that are not recommended in the program. And the third one is if you want to share something, just raise your hand or a finger. And this way, other certain people don't dominate and other people feel like they can have a chance to talk. And the fourth one is that personal information stays here. Um,
But we don't need to mention the fourth one
and
until the fourth section, right?
Right, because that's when we start getting into the lies and things we believe, and obviously people are going to bring up, you know, personal things. All right.
Okay, I think
Question.
Zoraida and Maria, that was from your group, they remember this guidelines, but I don't. That's
Yes,
why I
well, I
kind of.
will send out a handout or something afterwards so people have it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask if that was gonna be written somewhere. Thank you.
yes. And obviously you adapt them, but I'll send you what it is. But I hope we can keep to the key, what the meaning is, the true meaning is, and obviously you say it how you want to say it. All right, another pop quiz. Why keep discussions centered on agenda items? A, it makes the meeting shorter. B, it prevents personal stories. C, it focuses energy on programs, therapeutic tools, and homework. And D, it impresses visitors.
I would say C.
C.
That's right. Okay, and it does help the meeting stay shorter, right? It does. It won't prevent personal stories. Hopefully, actually, it will allow personal stories to be targeted to what we are doing. But we want to make sure that we are covering the things people need to cover because there's so much in this program, and there's a lot they have to carry. The burden they have to carry is pretty heavy at home. All right, so our first agenda item is the Healthy Lifestyle Scorecard. That is on page 23 for those of you who are looking at your book. We're going to discover healthy lifestyle recommendations that Nedley recommends. We're going to use the scorecard as a tool. We're going to learn how to fill it in, and then we get to organize our life. So I want to emphasize that this is a lifestyle program.
Inga, Inga, I
Yes.
have a question about the number 10, gratitude. Here is ask us for us to do three, but on the book, ask us to do five things that we are grateful for. So which one we are going to go for? To the five for the journal or three that is here on the page 23?
I guess I went with three, but you can choose. Rosa, you are everything stops with you. So they had three, and I went with three from their scorecard. But like you said, it does have five things. But this could just be at this moment, list five things you are grateful for, right? The scorecard could just keep three.
Okay, so when I make the scorecard, I will ask three.
You
So
can.
it just the only thing that I want is everybody ask three, not five, or everybody ask five, not three. I just want one thing for everybody to do. That's my question.
Okay.
Just for us to have formalized to all the groups, we are going to ask three or five. I'm not demanding anything. I'm just saying
Well,
w-
well,
we need to decide.
you're gonna make the scorecard. So that's what they're
Right.
gonna have at home. That will give them that instruction for home. During the meeting, it has here where you can list five, so they can do that during the meeting. Does that make sense? But if you want to put five spaces on your scorecard, you can do that. You know.
Why don't we just do it three, but you can say three or more.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
I like that.
Okay, let's do that.
O-
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I should have said, let's stick with the agenda. We're moving. We're on scorecard, Rosa. We're on scorecard. We'll get to gratitude in a bit. All right. So, this is a lifestyle program. Addressing depression and anxiety requires, according to Nedley, reversing enough hits to mental health so that you stay under 4 hits to maintain your brain's resiliency. So if you have 3 hits or less, you are not likely to be in a depressed or anxious state. All but 2 of these hits that he mentions during the thing are reversible. And so the lifestyle recommendations that we are teaching in sessions 1, 2, and the rest of them are designed to address the 7 reversible hits. Okay, there's one more hit that's a medical condition, and obviously we can't guarantee that this is going to address their specific medical condition. So, what lifestyle recommendations will you see when you're in the program? It's a lot. And actually, it's more than this. But as far as what they got to keep track of, it's gratitude practice, an exercise, basic exercise program, hydration, drinking water, nutrition, including a focus on omega 3, getting adequate sleep, doing light therapy, practicing a deep breathing exercise, listening to classical music, doing hydrotherapy in the form of a contrast shower, and then doing cognitive behavioral therapy education. And this is covered in the reading assignments that we have. So this is my version of the scorecard. Once I get Rosa's, I'll update this with hers, but it's got everything on here. So the scorecard lists all the activities that will be recommended, these therapeutic recommendations from Nedley, and that people are going to fill them out throughout the week. I want to assure the participants that for session 1, you only need to fill out these ones that I have highlighted here. We're going to focus this week on avoiding negative speech. We're going to focus on drinking enough water. We're going to focus on getting some exercise. We're going to focus on starting our reading, CBT reading, and we're going to focus on filling out our gratitude journal or practicing gratitude. So the other items listed here, we will meet in session 2. So we will today learn about the ones that I have highlighted for session 1, how to do them so that you can fill in your scorecard and don't feel like you need to fill it in for any of the other ones. Now, as you saw, there are a lot of recommendations that we have that we expect you to follow. And so it's really important to inventory your week and to take a moment to think about what activities in your week are fixed, non-negotiables. Where can you enhance those fixed activities with lifestyle recommendations? Where is unimproved time that could be dedicated to your lifestyle recommendations? And how can you combine them together? And we'll talk about that as we go along. I think on Rosa's scorecard, there will be a place there for people to sort of inventory their week. Correct, Rosa?
Yes, I have. We need to combine my scorecard with your scorecard because it has so many things that we can add and change. But what I'm trying to do is organizing morning,
Yes.
evening, afternoon,
Afternoon.
and evening.
Yes. So I tried to put that here. So she's going to have something with morning, afternoon, evening, and it would be great for people to do this. Rosa, if you're going to have session 0, this would be a great thing to do during session 0 for people to have that done.
I
But
think we kind of need more than a session 0. I'm planning
yeah.
to have a meeting with each person before session 0 to go over this.
So here's my little homeschool mom schedule for all of y'all, in case you were curious. So anyhow, here's my schedule, and I just want you to give you an idea of like where I'm aiming to fit in these lifestyle measures. So And as you can see, in the morning, I'm going to be doing probably half of them. And then in the evening, I will do half of them after I'm done with my work. And then during the day, I'm going to try to take walking breaks. So this is what it's going to look like for me to do it. And when you sit down, as you go through with people, we're going to see that you're going to take periodic breaks to help them think about what plan they're going to implement for themselves. Because if they don't walk away with a plan, then, you know, they're not going to necessarily get anything done. So, pop quiz, pop quiz, pop quiz. NDARP is a lifestyle program that aims to do what regarding hits to mental health? A, reverse enough to stay under 4. B, reach exactly 10 hits. C, only measure hits without action. Or D, ignore hits and focus on meds. What do y'all think?
A.
A.
Yeah.
Y'all,
A.
good. Everybody's paying attention. A. Okay, so we want 3 or less. That's the goal. All right, pop quiz. What is not a core purpose of the scorecard? A, accountability. B, test your knowledge. C, reminder. Or D, celebrate progress.
B.
Any others?
Test your knowledge.
Yes, B. Okay, that is not a core purpose of a scorecard. All right, participants will fill in the entire scorecard starting from session 1. True or false?
False.
B.
False. Okay, we're not going to overwhelm them. We're going to focus on what we're teaching them in session 1. That's what we will expect them to do in session 1, and then we'll add more session 2. Hold on, let me see. Yes. All right. Our next stop on our agenda is the reading prescription. This is found on page 16. It's kind of just like a little block at the top there. And we are going to meet our books, talk about the weekly reading homework, and make a plan. And Rosa, we do have some decisions to make, right? So they are given these 3 books: Depression, the Way Out, SOS, Help for Emotions, and Telling Yourself the Truth. Those of you who did it, I mean, you can be honest. It felt like a lot, right? Trying to keep up. We didn't require you to do Telling Yourself the Truth. We were in the workbook. It requires you to do Depression, the Way Out, and SOS, Help for Emotions. Rosa has proposed having people try to read one of these books ahead of time, preferably Depression, the Way Out, so that they can focus their reading time on SOS, Help for Emotions. Any feedback on that idea?
I
Well,
think that's a good idea because it was overwhelming, all the reading assignments, especially in the beginning.
I agree.
it would be great if people were motivated to read the full text, but even to review it and to look at chapters and see what they might be more interested in, but just familiarizing yourself with it for those people who have difficulty, reading full chapters, I think would be helpful.
Okay, so Rosa, are we going to go with the thing? We're just going to require people to read SOS during the program, correct? And you are
Right,
going to
because
see if you
that
can
is the book.
motivate them to read Depression, the Way Out ahead of time, right? Maybe offer them
Yes.
some type of incentive. Okay. So everybody, in the workbook, it has listed Depression, the Way Out, and SOS. But Rosa's going to try to get them to read Depression, the Way Out beforehand, and we will only remind them to read their SOS homework. Okay?
Yeah.
And then I
And
have
then
been
after-
using Telling
after
Yourself the
fin-
Truth for a support group
Yes.
after the meetings are done.
Yes.
Okay, so making a plan. Now, I hope y'all have this time built into your time, where you kind of stop and just encourage everybody to just think about it for a moment, reminding them you don't have to read every day, but you do need to finish your prescribed chapters to keep pace. and help them think of ideas of how they can get it done. For example, some people like to listen to audiobooks. They can do that while driving or doing their exercise, their walking. And just so people know, the NDARP journal isn't required, but it is can be used as a daily devotional, and it does have space for gratitude if people wanted to record their gratitude there and use that as a devotional. My mom said it was really, really good. She really enjoyed using the journal. So here is on our scorecard, and this is what you will be showing them, where they will be entering in their CBT reading. So you can just tell them they can just put in SOS chapter 2, or since we're only doing one book, they could just put chapter 2 that they read or whatever they read, what day. And I have here starred just showing how some of the other lifestyle recommendations that they will be learning can be combined. So maybe while they're doing their reading, they can listen to classical music, or while they're doing their reading, they could be doing their light therapy. So, but of course, they're not going to meet those items until session 2. But I encourage you to encourage them to kind of stack these recommendations in their life, so that it doesn't feel like they're chasing after 10 things. It's kind of more they have like 5 things they're doing and they're combining stuff together. So, pop quiz. Of the 3 books the participants receive, which book is top priority for reading during the 8-week session? A, Depression the Way Out, SOS Help for Emotions, C, Telling Yourself the Truth, and D, All Books Should Be Finished.
C.
C,
B.
it is B, SOS Help for Emotions. This is the one we want them to finish during the 8-week session, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, moving on to our next agenda item, avoiding a negative speech. I forgot to put the page number there. And we're going to talk about the 14-day challenge. And I don't even see that in our session 1. Oh, yes, it's on page 16. It's on the very first page, page 16. All right, so the 14-day challenge is to decide to say nothing critical or negative about anything or anybody, not even constructive criticism, for 14 days straight. Okay, our words reflect what is in our hearts, and they reflect back on our hearts. So this is a challenge, and I hate to say I could never meet this, so I'm gonna really try again. And the book emphasizes that we can correct our children without being negative for those of us who are parents. So make a plan. It might help for people to put reminders up in places they see every day, perhaps their bathroom mirror, or inside the cabinet door that they open for their mug every day, or on the computer. And they need to decide ahead of time how they will handle correction if needed. And I think it's like good to think in terms of positive conflict resolution. State what you want done, not accusing. Avoid accusing people. Focus on what you want, right? Give positive guidance. And then if there are consequences, say what consequences will result. I think that's a way parents can work around that. So for avoiding negative speech on our scorecard, it's just a check mark or not. Did you do it? Did you avoid negative speech today? The book suggests if you want to put times on there too, given everything else to keep up with, I think just a check or not check is good enough. Pop quiz. Which plan best reflects how to handle correction while avoiding negative speech? A, suspend all correction for 14 days. B, use sarcasm gently to soften feedback. C, move all correction to email and text so you're not saying it. And D, correct children with positive guidance and state
Indeed.
consequences. D. We can give positive guidance, right? And I guess if you want to be literal, suspend all negative type of correction. All right, gratitude is on page 17. How to practice gratitude and what plan we're going to do. So, with gratitude, it's super easy to kind of get into like I hate to say like a rut. It's like, thank you, God, for my kids. Thank you for my husband. Thank you for my church. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for the Holy Spirit. Amen. Right? Like, just that. Um, so, you might encourage people to try to notice more things. For example, noticing a sensory comfort. Name one thing that you saw, heard, or felt today that was pleasant and why it mattered. Um, for example, I get lots of joy. Like yesterday, I went outside just to do something briefly, and I noticed this squirrel. It was just super cute, picking up something and eating, and I got great joy just watching him finish his meal, right? And I thank God for that because that was encouraging to me. If there is a moment, right, that you can think of, somebody that eased your day even briefly, what did they do that helped? Thinking of a small step forward. What's one step that you took for your health or your responsibilities and why it mattered? Um, or on hard days, to try to name something that made the day slightly more bearable. And with gratitude, there will be a place on the scorecard to fill it in. And there will be, and obviously here you don't have to be so specific. You could say husband, but I can thank God for my husband for making me breakfast in the morning, but I just put husband, for example. Um, but when people think about gratitude, you can encourage them to think specifically and live presently, in the present. And there's
Inga?
also a place on the journal for gratitude. Yes,
Inga, I'm sorry. Did you send the link to Philip because he's not in the meeting? Did you send him for him to be in the
I
meeting by
I
the phone?
I did. I sent him. Yes.
Philip, she sent it to you.
Okay, but and I
All right, pop quiz. Which one of these statements actually is expressing gratitude? A nice specific gratitude. A, I should be grateful for my job even though it's miserable. B, other people have it worse, so I guess I can't complain. C, I hope to get that new job because I really like it. D, I appreciate that my neighbor brought me soup because I was too tired and stressed to cook.
D.
D.
D, right? And
Mhm.
one thing I got to work with my son on, and some people, they live so much in the future that they focus on what they want, and because they're thinking about that, they're grateful for that. So make sure to remind people to stay present on what actually happened, not what they hope is going to happen. All right. Moving on to hydration. That is on page 18. People will calculate their daily water intake needs and make a plan. Um, so on here, there's like a little table and it has a formula there. And the way you calculate the water intake needs is someone will take their weight, they'll divide it by 2, and that will tell them the total amount of water they need for the day in ounces. So the next step I encourage you to have them do is to think about how many ounces of water their primary water container holds. Like, do they usually drink out of a certain cup, or I use these um, 16-ounce water bottles? What do they use? So that they can also figure it out that way. Most bottles and tall glasses hold at least 16 ounces of water. So to figure out how many of their bottles they need, and this is for our seriously math challenged, okay, they need to take their daily water needs and divide it by the ounces that their container holds. And that will tell them how many bottles they need to drink. Okay, so for example, if someone weighs 160 pounds, we're going to divide that by 2. That gives 80 ounces of water they need to drink a day. If they're using my water bottles here, they would divide their 80 ounces by 16 and they would get 5 bottles a day. So they would know they need to drink 5 of these a day. Okay, and ideally your urine should be pale to light yellow. So you will have people take a moment to do that, okay? To at the very least figure out how much water they need a day and to remind them how to figure out how many of their water bottles they need for those who are math challenged. Under making a plan, we need to anchor water drinking to existing habits. For those of us that are terrible at remembering to drink water, maybe it's think of things that you do all the time and then put some water at that place that you're going to be or there so it's available to you. If you drive a lot, make sure you have something in the car, right? If you every time you wake up, right, you have something there by your bed. Keep water visible and ready. And if you need to, set reminders. And you might take a moment to discuss with people what their plan is. How do they remember to drink water? How do they like to keep track of their water? So it might give someone else an idea that they need so that they can make their own plan. And Rosa's going to have a place on the scorecard for writing down their plan. Okay.
Okay.
So here on the scorecard, I've got it combined, hydrotherapy and hydration, but it's just the bottom part here, drink water. And I use tick marks. So, and each tick mark represents my water bottle, okay, that I use. And I know I need 3.5 water bottles a day. So obviously I'm going to go for 4 or 3 or 4. So like I said, we're going to talk to people about what's their plan. How much do they need? Make sure before people leave you, they know how much they need. They have an idea of what containers they will use. They have an idea of how they're going to divide it up throughout their day. And, or they know they're going to plan to figure that out today, right? Before the day ends, they're going to figure out how they're going to divide it up and how will they remind themselves. So that they can get in their water drinking for the week. So pop quiz, you got your calculators, everybody. I have a 180-pound participant who is math challenged. They use a 24-ounce water bottle, one of those big jugs. What plan fits them? Can you calculate what they need? How do we do it,
I
Margaret?
have problem with math as well.
All right, I know. That's why I put it in
Okay,
here.
all right. You take your
D?
180 pounds, you divide it in 2. That's 90 ounces a day.
Okay.
And then you take your 24-ounce bottle
So,
and you divide that into 90.
well, you say 90 divided by 24, right?
Right.
Okay, 90.
Right.
We got our 90. Then we're going to divide that by 24.
24. And then whatever that is, which I haven't divided, it's how many bottles per day.
3.75.
3.75. Okay, so
Okay.
they can just round up to about 4. They need 4 water bottles a day for them, okay?
Right.
All right, so this is making sure we can do the math. All right, exercise. This is on page 20. We're going to choose our activity. We're going to calculate target heart rate, and we're going to make a plan. So on page 20, they have a list here of exercises that they can do, and everybody gets to pick something, right? And focus on what is enjoyable and convenient for the participant, right? Like if they have a gym membership, they like going to the gym, great, they can pick something that's at the gym, right? If they don't, think about what they can do from home. Or if they drive by the mall every day coming home, they could stop at the indoor mall and walk, right? So have them find something that's enjoyable and convenient for them. We really focus on walking here, but Nedley does give them a lot of options to choose from. And they should work up to at least 60 total minutes per day, and they can split that up into multiple sessions if needed. People with heart conditions definitely need to consult their doctors before beginning. Okay, so to do resting heart rate, The best time to do it is first thing in the morning. And it would just be so nice, Rosa, if you have a session 0 to kind of do some of these things so the facilitators can focus on making the plan. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Um, so
Okay.
if we do this later, because this took a lot of time, right? Like this takes time to do, you know. Um, you position your fingers like you see I got there, okay, over like just under the base of the thumb there on the wrist, and you keep adjusting till you feel your pulse. Can everybody do that now? Make sure they can at least feel their pulse. You should feel a little pushback on your finger.
Yep.
Okay, everybody knows how to find it, right? Make sure you can find it so you can help others find it. Now, if you don't do it first thing in the morning, the best time to do it would just be when you're sitting quietly for about 4 to 5 minutes and waiting 1 to 2 hours after exercise or a large meal. Okay, we don't want them to have exercised or have eaten a big meal before doing this.
Good. Do we have time to do 30 seconds and see how much is our heart rate, just for us to learn how to do it? Or
So,
no?
um, we can. So then you count your pulse for a full 60 seconds to get the beats per minute. Or you can do 30 seconds and multiply it by 2, but then you have math, right? So I think it might be better to just count for 60 seconds. For people who tend to be math challenged, adding in a calculation raises a little bit of anxiety, okay? So I will let y'all know when to start. Does everybody feel their pulse right now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna wait till I get to the next minute.
0.
Wait, I'm waiting till the next minute turns over. I will let you know when to start counting, okay?
Okay.
Okay, 7, 8, 9. All right, start now. Stop.
Okay.
62.
62.
70.
62 mine.
Okay, good. So that's
Everybody's 62 except the speaker.
yeah. Actually, I thought that was pretty good. I must have skipped some. I usually run pretty high because of my anxiety that I have. So now we have some more math to do. I love this, guys. I love math, just so you know. So now we get to calculate some more. So then we take our resting heart rate and we're going to use that in this calculation. Now, I broke the calculation up into steps because in the book on page 21, it puts it like this big long equation. Okay. And so I don't think that's helpful for people who don't know PEMDAS and the order of operations. All right. So the first thing is to calculate your max heart rate. So you do 220 minus your age first. Once you have that, okay, then you're going to calculate your heart rate reserve is what it's called. And this is that max value you just got, and you subtract your resting heart rate from it. Okay, so that max value minus that resting heart rate we just felt.
So, okay, I put it
103.
in 220 minus 56, my age, then I got 174.
Okay, good. So then that minus your resting heart rate is the next calculation.
So is 62. Okay.
Okay, good. Now what we're going to do is we need to pick a training level. I think we should just all do beginner level,
Right.
because most people coming in are going to be average people. They're not going to be athletic or whatever. So there is a constant that you need to know, and that is point 0.4. If someone is athletic, like they train regular, like my dad or something like that, you would use like the intermediate or advanced, okay, for the training level. But we're going to stick with the point 0.4 for the beginner. And then to calculate the target heart rate, you take that number we just calculated from the heart rate reserve, you multiply it by the training level constant. So multiply it by 0.4.
Okay. So my case is 112 times 0.4. Okay.
And then you add, hit the equal sign on your calculator, and then add your resting heart rate back in.
Oh, hold on. It's too much.
I
Hold
know.
on.
You,
I got lost.
112 times 0.4. Okay. 44.8. And then what I need to do?
add that pulse rate that you just got, that we just put our fingers.
62. Okay. Plus 62. Okay.
103.2.
2, 6, 10. Okay. 106.8.
Okay. So that is your target heart rate at the beginner training level, okay? At your beginner activity level, and I will show you more there. Now, one option we can do, guys, because again, this is taking a lot of time. You see, Rosa, this is taking a lot of time.
I see.
Yes.
But Inga, hold on. So the target rate means that that is the maximum that I should make my heart to run.
Well, the advanced level, the max is the max. But this is your target rate for aerobic training, okay? For the aerobic beginner training. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. One
Okay.
option we have, Rosa, I just wanted to show you is, I mean, we could give people tables. They could find their age. I have here your age by 5 years and then your resting heart rate. So we just have them find their resting heart rate, and then we can go over and pull that number.
Good.
Okay, so that's the beginner level, intermediate level, advanced level. But really, it's impractical unless people wear heart rate monitors, which some people do have a Fitbit on. I mean, I don't know. But for most people, what would be most helpful, and if I had any say, or if I could redesign this program, I wouldn't even do that. I would just do this, the talk test, okay? Because this is easier for people to keep up with while they're exercising.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, I think taking all that time to do those calculations feels a little bit just not
Like that.
helpful.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
Not for
can
most
we add that as like everything that we need to print and give it to them? Because we don't, do we have that in the book? No, right?
They talk about the talk test, but they don't make it like this. They
No,
don't.
but
Yeah, so yeah, let's add that.
print it out.
Okay.
Your table was really helpful. I think if I had it in front of me and I could follow it, the same thing is I think for all the other people, because remember, a lot of the people are going to be just like myself and my mom that don't really care what our heart rate is. You know, we're going to do the talk test, but we might have a couple people that have the fitness ability to, zoom to, focus in on these more specific numbers, so they can figure that out. And your information is laid out very well. It's easy to follow.
Yeah. Well, we could put the calculation there and then put the 3 tables, and then they can check themselves, right? Like they can see it should be within a certain, it should kind of match
Sure,
up to those
absolutely.
numbers. Okay. So for the heart rate talk test, you have your activity level, your talk test, and what it lines up with the heart rate. okay, that we calculated. So we calculated the beginner training level. So when we are doing that, that means we can still talk, but we cannot sing. Okay, that is that talk test. That is considered a low intensity workout. Now,
Perfect.
before the low intensity workout, you want to warm up, right? And for warm up, it should be in a level where you can sing comfortably. It should be under the beginner training level. You're just getting your muscles used to the movements that you're going to demand of them during the workout. Then, for those who want to challenge themselves, or if they want to do some interval training, they can go up to the moderate intensity workout. This is when your conversation is effortful but doable, right? Like you're, yes, Rosa, I know we gotta do this and that, but I can still talk, but it's harder. That would be an intermediate heart rate training level. And then high intensity, which also is appropriate for interval training, and I'll talk about interval training in a moment. That is where you cannot have a conversation. It's just not possible, but you can still get out a few words here and there, but it's just impractical to have any type of conversation. That is your advanced, it starts at the threshold of the advanced training level and higher. So we should always start and end our workouts with warm up and cool down. Again, that goes to that singing level. Warm up at least 5 minutes and cool down until you can sing again. You can use the talk test to maintain your desired activity level for your workout duration. And vary your workout with interval training. This is a little advanced, but I personally have to do it because I run hypoglycemic and I cannot just walk. It actually lowers my energy overall. So with interval training, people would add in 3 to 8 cycles of this what I'm about to describe here, where they do maybe 2 minutes of low intensity, right, their beginner level, and then 1 minute of their moderate level, and then go back to the beginner level again, the low intensity, and they switch back and forth 3 to 8 times.
Inga,
Yes.
you were out for like
Oh no. Oh, I see. My internet was glitching a little bit, right?
right.
Okay, so
You were talking and then disappeared.
did I explain interval training?
So just back up about 45 seconds worth.
Okay, well, in interval training, you alternate back and forth between low intensity and then moderate or high intensity. If you do moderate intensity, you can do a little longer, like a minute. So you do 2 minutes of low intensity, 1 minute moderate intensity, and then back and forth 3 to 8 times. Or if you want to do a higher intensity, shorten the time frame, like 20 seconds. I like to do the high intensity. I like to do sprints, or I like to race my stairs, for example. And that would be for a lower period of time, like 20 seconds, and then returning back to lower intensity. So that is interval training. But we are only requiring people to do up to 60 minutes of, beginner training level, low intensity workout. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So making a plan. Generally, you want
Just
to.
one question before we go there. They ask us to walk for 1 hour, but then they require 14,000 steps. And 14,000 steps you cannot do in 1 hour.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not very consistent. I don't think we should require more than an hour. I think it's.
Unless they are in a deep depression or something.
Well, so I reviewed some of the studies and stuff. I was trying to figure out what is the minimum time to make difference. So for people not depressed or whatever, 3 minutes actually can boost your mood. 10 minutes can boost your mood pretty well, but it's not going to last, right? It's just instant mood booster. For people who are clinically depressed, they need to do at least 30 minutes daily at the very least. So those who are clinically depressed need to aim for minimum threshold of 30 minutes and ideally 60, right? But for those who are not, they could, do smaller chunks of time. It is not recommended to sacrifice sleep to work out. People should not get up extra early than what they normally do to work out. And the reason being is that during sleep, during the first part of the night, your body is focused on repairing and maintaining your autonomic processes like your heart rate, blood sugar, all of that stuff, blood pressure. But if you sacrifice sleep in the morning, the sleep you need in the morning, then you are sacrificing mental health. That's where you are dreaming more, you are doing more emotional processing. So that's not this time to sacrifice sleep. So people need to prioritize sleep, is what I'm saying. They need to fit workout during a different, sometime during whenever they can, but not sacrificing their sleep needs. Morning exercise is favored because you can, again, stack your lifestyle recommendations and get your morning sunlight that you're going to need with, your exercise. And it's good to have a backup plan for bad weather days. I have a little route that I do in my house, in my kitchen. I have set up a figure 8 that I walk, and honestly, I prefer to do that. And more plan on really pretty days going outside. So I encourage people to start with a small goal this week with the plan by the end of the program to work up to 60 minutes a day. So see what they can commit to. Can you commit to 15 minutes? Can you commit to 30 minutes a day? Pick something and try to stick with it. So on their scorecard, exercise has its own column, and they can put in there how long they did their exercise and what activity they did. And I encourage you to not let them leave until they have decided on their exercise choice. They understand what level they're going to work at. Most people are going to be beginner level. They have a daily time target up to 60 minutes. They know when and where, or they have an idea. And they're not going to let that day go by until they figure out what they need for it. They create their backup plan. Obviously, you can't spend the whole time doing this, but just, make sure they know they got to get this stuff figured out, or they're probably going to fail, right? Because if you don't have these things figured out, then, you're not going to be ready for it. Pop quiz. If checking resting heart rate later in the day, what is the best protocol? A, eat a meal first. B, take a hot shower to relax. C, exercise within 2 hours. Or D, sit quietly 4 to 5 minutes.
D.
D, sit quietly 4 to 5 minutes. Very good. We already calculated our heart rates, so we did that for whatever. Which activity level corresponds to talk test? Conversation is effortful but doable. Is that the warm-up cool-down phase? Is that low intensity, moderate intensity, or high intensity? That is your moderate intensity level, okay? Which activity level corresponds to talk test? You can sing comfortably. Is that A, your warm-up cool down, B, low intensity, C, moderate intensity, or D, high intensity?
A.
A, that is your warm-up cool down. Remember, we're just getting our muscles used to whatever we're going to be doing, but we're not really challenging ourselves. Which activity level corresponds to talk test? Only a few words are possible if needed. A, warm up, B, low intensity, C, moderate intensity, or D, high intensity?
High intensity.
That is your high intensity level. And which activity level corresponds to the talk test? Conversation is easy, but you cannot sing. A, warm up, B, low intensity, C, moderate intensity, or D, high intensity?
B.
D.
This is your B, your low intensity. And then here, which plan matches interval training? 5-minute high, 1-minute low. B, 1 minute low, 1 minute high. C, 2 minutes low, 1 minute moderate, repeat. Or D, 10 minutes of continuous moderate.
Probably C. Not C.
It is C. Okay, so the problem with A is you are doing the high intensity longer than the low intensity. And remember, you're supposed to do your low intensity longer than the high intensity. And obviously with B, you've made them equal. So you want to make one a little bit, the higher intensity shorter than the low intensity. All right, we started at 9:36. Can I do 2 more minutes, everybody?
Please.
Okay. This is the last item on session 1, omega-3. It's on page 52, and they going to discover their options and make a plan. Rosa, I believe, will be going over this. We want them to get whole flaxseed, okay? Get some type of mill they're going to need. Coffee grinder, a cheap coffee grinder works really great for this purpose. And when they grind up their whole flaxseed, it's going to look like that. Okay, so but flaxseed needs to be ground up when we use it. And this is where we are getting our omega-3 from. So Nedley recommends consuming 3,000 milligrams of omega-3 per day in the form of 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. The flax meal can go rancid, so it should be stored in the fridge up to a week after it is ground up. And you can add it to cereal, salads, smoothies. I make a little keto bread that I prefer to put it in because I'm not into hot cereal like that. And this week for session 1, their goal is to just locate a source of flaxseed, locate a mill, or figure out how they're going to grind it up and identify what foods they can add it to. They don't have to necessarily keep track. They're just trying to get this item. And that is here, but they don't need to fill this out. Okay. But when they do fill this out, they can just check it off that they got it done, or they can put with what meal they had it. So, last quiz question. What is the daily recommendation for omega-3? A, 3,000 milligrams or 1 tablespoon ground flaxseed. B, 3,000 milligrams or 2 tablespoons ground flaxseed. C, 6,000 milligrams or 3 tablespoons ground flaxseed. Or D, 6,000 milligrams or 2 tablespoons ground flaxseed.
B.
I hope everybody chose B. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming to our NDARP Facilitator Session 1 training.
Yay, that was a
Okay.
wonderful job. Thank you,
Yeah,
Inga.
beautiful.
Yes.
Inga, will you
Yes.
share your notes?
Yes, I will. I'll send you slides.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Who wants to close in prayer for us? Philip, of course, I see your face. Why don't you do it?
Okay. Father in heaven, thank you for this material. Thank you for the opportunity to come together. And while I missed some material, Father, I want to thank you for Inga's diligence and the skill that you have given her. And thank you that she's going to share her slides. I pray that you will bless her for that, for her work, and that you will help us all to join together with our various strengths to make this a successful class, and that you will be lifted up and that you will be glorified as you help us to help those around us in this class. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I need to talk something. Inga, we are going to do during these weeks, we need to require to each person to make their own scorecard and give it to me every week. So we are going to start the scorecard for each facilitator. For each person that is in this group, it needs to start the scorecard, right?
Do you want me to email mine that I have?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
I will do that. Or I'll send it to you. You can email it to everybody with notes and stuff so
Uh,
everybody can try
Maybe
to keep
we
track.
maybe we can put it on the group, on the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And also, I decide I think it's better for us to do the prayer in December, the prayer meetings, because it's too much, I think, for do together here. Okay?
Okay. All right. I will
Okay.
talk to you at 5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See
Bye-bye.
y'all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.